Manikam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swami Esanambayappa. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, everyone. Manikam, everyone.
Alright, so you are currently tuned into Atonville TV. We are streaming live in Lenasia South. And you are currently watching the show called The Journey. It's about exploring Hinduism as a whole. If you want to interact with us in studio today, please do so with the contact details which you find right there. Or you could use the bottom column where it says live chat. Now, we are in part 2 of the origins of the Vedas.
Yes.
Right? And you know what? I was researching today and I heard a lot of people pronouncing this word differently.
How do they pronounce it?
Some say Vedas, some say Vedas. And then when we get to, I'm not going to show you how Kelly McGuire does it, but you're going to listen to her. It sounds so cute.
I think people from different places in the world pronounce it differently.
Yeah. So guys, pronunciation is a matter of opinion, but that's me camouflaging myself and saving myself tonight. As I am English speaking, so it's going to be a bit of a tough show with pronunciations.
But at the same time, learning.
Yeah,
learning these words.
Yeah, we will. Alright, as we always want to keep you entertained and awake during our, it's like a documentary kind of thing we're doing, yeah?
Documentary.
So let's open the show with baby Nashara all the way in Durban. She is performing Heeralal.
Heeralal, Heeralal, Heeralal.
yesterday. Oh, with Heeralal. That was such a beautiful song.
It is, and her voice is so subtle.
It's so cute.
Yeah.
It's too cute. But there's another movie. Do you remember the name of the movie? Where this baby was singing Jai Jai Ram Sita.
I think so.
Jai Jai Ram
Probably
Sita.
do.
Then it goes Jai Jai Ram Ram Ram.
Maybe I
Jai Jai Ram
probably do.
Sita. I can't get over that girl. She's the reason I'm so into that.
Is it a
specific
movie
song.
or just like a video?
It's a movie, but then someone took a snippet of that girl and sent it everywhere.
I think I saw the snippet of it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the movie.
I'm gonna find out the movie. I'm gonna tell you guys about it on my tomorrow on the same Monday. All right, stay tuned as we have a full show for you on part 2 of the origins of the Vedas. Don't go anywhere. We'll come back straight after this commercial break.
You can do anything. All you need is determination and a fresh pair of these nallies. But what's the point of looking like Injay game if all your money is on your feet and your dreams go up in flames? In this world of doing it for Ikram, do you want a bank that takes your money or a bank that takes your money seriously?
Manikam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swami Saranamayyappa. Welcome back, everybody. If you just joined us, we are currently streaming live in Indonesia South on Attenville TV. I'm your host, Kimera Heeralal, and by my side I have Dashnee Manikam. All right, so we are talking about the origins of the Vedas, right?
Yes.
And well, this is part 2 for those of you who missed the show. But we also have Kelly Maguire joining us this evening. And yeah, thank you so much, Kelly. So we're gonna cut to her in a bit. She's gonna give us a bit of a brief of what you missed out on yesterday's show. So it's gonna be like a summarized thing.
Yeah.
I think she did actually well in explaining it.
I can't wait to hear.
Yeah. Okay, so coming up, let's look at the origins and the development of the Vedas. This is actually hosted by Kelly Maguire, and she's from Melbourne in Australia. So shout out to Kelly. Let's take a look at what she has to say.
The Vedas are religious texts from ancient India that inform the religion of Hinduism. The religion of Hinduism is known by adherents as Sanatana Dharma, which means eternal order, and the Vedas are thought to be the literal words of God, which convey that order to humanity. The word Veda means knowledge, and it is thought that the texts contain fundamental knowledge about the function and personal response to existence. They were believed to have always been in existence and were not revealed by certain people, but apprehended by sages from the universe itself while in deep meditative states. The Vedas are considered one of, if not the oldest religious texts in the world. They were written down in the midst of the Bronze Age, approximately 1500 BCE, but they existed prior to this in oral tradition, passed down from master to student for generations. Perhaps a reason why the origin of the Vedas is still debated today is because we just don't know. The most commonly accepted belief, which is not universally accepted, is that the Vedic vision came to India with the migration of the nomadic tribes known as the Indo-Aryans, or simply the Aryans, from Central Asia at some point around the 3rd millennium BCE. The Indo-Aryans, according to some scholars, brought the Vedic vision with them to India during the time of the decline of the Harappan civilization in the Indus Valley, between around 2000 and 1500 BCE. During this migration, a merging of the two cultures happened. Wherever it originated, though, it is safe to say that it developed in India during the Vedic period, between 1500 and 500 BCE, after the arrival of the Indo-Aryans. The concept of the Vedic period, which is a modern classification, is so named because that is the period that the Vedas were written down after a long oral tradition.
Alright, so thanks Kelly for that. Now, she did break it down exactly like how we did, but I think she did it more clearly.
Yes.
And more under control. But thank you so much, Kelly.
A good timeline, specific timeline.
Alright, so remember we stopped at talking about like the Vedic Sanskrit corpus, we called it, right? And then we were mentioning like the Samhitas. We also talked about the 4 things that we knew about. And then it goes into 4 further described or
Yeah. So another thing I think I've learned by this is that everything is broken down into fours.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we were talking about the Samhitas. We also mentioned a bit of the Rig Veda, the Yajur Veda, the Sama Veda, the Atharva Veda, and now looking at these different Vedas,
Yes.
it's quite, I don't know, intimidating too.
Is it?
Because you don't know which one to actually follow or read or believe. What like, you know, like how when people ask you, what is your Koladeva?
Yes.
That kind of thing. So how did you know when you found out your
About the
Koladeva?
Vedas. Oh, my Koladeva.
Yeah.
So in my belief, or say our family's belief, so your Koladeva is who your forefathers or your ancestors, who they used to praise in that mother or specifically whichever deity. So it'll then become your Koladeva, or other people then take vows with a certain goddess or certain, like Lord Muruga or anyone, and then it becomes their Koladeva. So it all depends on your family history, I would assume.
Okay, so talking about the Vedas now.
Yeah.
What's your take on this? Which one did you manage to look at, or did you not? Let's be honest, I didn't look at it until I got to the specific show.
Yeah.
And I was forced to do, my own research. So which Vedas would you say is yours?
Okay,
or
so
suited your mind
to
and
my
body?
understanding and research of how to know what Veda, especially the four that we've explained, which was the Rig Veda, the Yajur Veda, the Samar Veda, and the Athara Veda.
Right.
So the Rig Veda, Rig means to praise.
Right.
Right. So it explains in various hymns praising the elements of nature and cosmos. So I think you need to know the meaning of each one to know what each one is for.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
So then the next one would be the Yajur Veda, which means worship.
Okay.
So this Veda would obviously have all the worship.
Yeah, makes
scripture.
sense. So basically we need all, if you look at it, because it's different parts of the culture.
Yes. And then the Sama Veda means song. So Sama means song in Sanskrit. So it gives music-driven Carnatic format to other Vedas of ease or reaction. So you know, Carnatic music is the main music, this cultural music. So at this
traditional.
So this so this specific Veda with the instruments like the harmonium and the talams and so on, right? And this Veda in specific is for the music. So all the scriptures of music that we play and the notes, because there's certain notes for certain music.
Right.
Right? And then the Athar Veda means stable mind. It sets the rules for a steady daily life activities. So this Veda, I would, to my understanding, is I think it has daily life rules. So like of course our morals, our principles of how we should go about our lives.
Alright, so let's jump back in with Kelly as she is helping us with our show today. We've got Kelly Maguire coming up again from Melbourne, Australia. She is giving us a breakdown of the Vedas. Let's take a look.
Let's break these down and have a look at each of the 4 books. There are 4 texts which make up the Vedas: the Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda, and the Atharva Veda, with the Rig Veda being both the oldest and considered the most important. Each of these can be further divided into different texts: Aranyakas, which depicts rituals and observances; Brahmanas, which is commentary on the rituals; Samhitas, which are benedictions, prayers, and mantras; and the Upanishads, which are philosophical narratives and dialogues. It is the Upanishads which are the best known, the most read, and the first sections to have been translated into other languages. The oldest text is the Rig Veda, comprising of 10 books known as mandalas, of 1,028 books and 10,600 verses. It is all about proper religious observance and practice, and also addresses fundamental questions about existence. The Rig Veda encourages questions about the meaning of personal existence, basic needs of life, self-actualization, and union with the divine, with questions posed through hymns to various gods. Some of the gods in the Rig Veda are Agni, Mitra, Varuna, Indra, and Soma, all of which would eventually be seen as avatars for Brahman, the supreme lord of the universe and the universe itself. According to some schools of Hindu thought, the Vedas were first composed by Brahman, and then the sages heard it through song. Next is the Sama Veda, which translates to melody knowledge or song knowledge. It was written to be sung and is made up of liturgical songs, chants, and texts, which totals to 1,549 verses. The verses are divided into two sections, the Gana or melodies and the Asika or verses. The content is pretty much fully derived from the Rig Veda, and the Rig Veda actually serves as the lyrics to the melodies in the Sama Veda. Next is the Yajur Veda, which translates to worship or ritual knowledge, which consists of ritual worship formulas, chants, and mantras directly involved in worship services. Such as with the Sama Veda, the Yajur Veda's content derives from the Rig Veda, but its 1,875 verses are specifically concerned with religious observances. Finally, there is the Atharva Veda, which means knowledge of Atharva, and is quite different to the previous three. This text focuses on such topics as marriage and funeral ceremonies, magical spells to ward off evil, spirits or danger, chants, hymns, prayers, and observations on daily life. Its name is thought to have come from the priest Atharvan, who was a well-known healer and is believed to have been composed around the same time as the Sama Veda and the Yajur Veda, between 1200 and 1000 BCE. It is made up of 20 books and 730 hymns. As mentioned before, within these works are the other types, Aranyakas, Brahmanas, Samhitas, and Upanishads, which are commentaries and extensions of the text.
Okay, now while the production of the Brahmanas, from what I grasped from Kelly, right? Now while the production of the Brahmanas and the Aranyakas ceased to actually end, or ceased to the end of the Vedic period.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That was quite interesting to find. And there's additional Upanishads that were composed of the end of the Vedic period. So the Brahmanas, the Aranyakas, and the Upanishads, among other things, interpret and discuss the Samhitas that we mentioned before in philosophical and metaphorical ways to explore abstract concepts such as the absolute, meaning the Brahman, and the soul or the self, meaning the Atman, and introducing a Vedanta philosophy. So I'm not really sure of this, but this is what I was researching today. I was like, what?
Yeah, it gets more interesting as you go deeper.
It does. Now, one of the major trends, these are all the major things in later Hinduism, and as you see times changing, it's going with the times, like we now in the Kali Yuga era,
Yes.
which I can't wait to do a show on that.
Interesting topic.
Now, in other parts, they also show evolution of ideas, such as from actual sacrifice to symbolic sacrifice, and then they show spirituality in the Upanishads, as well as this has inspired later Hindu scholars, and such as Adi Shankara, right, to actually classify each Veda into karma kanda. And it's actually action and sacrificial ritual related sections, and the Samhitas and the Brahmanas explain this. So it would be nice to actually take a look at that and do that on another day, because the Vedas, it's very difficult to actually finish off the show.
So like
we're
we're explaining these different words now, the Shruti and Samriti, they're all divided into sections, so they're all broken down. So I feel like we need to have multiple shows to explain each one. Yeah.
Yes.
Even through my research, everything was broken down into different blocks.
Yes.
So how they explain these different blocks or different, so it's quite interesting.
It is. Don't go anyway, guys. We are talking about the origins of the Vedas, and we dipped our toe into different Vedas and how it's broken down and how it carries on to go further in force. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. Stay exactly where you are. We'll come back straight after this commercial break.
The ultimate accessory, the latest shiny thing, mesmerized. Trying to keep up, but never getting ahead in an endless cycle of spending. In this world of constant upgrades, do you want a bank that takes your money, or a bank that takes your money seriously?
Manikam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sairam, Jai Shri Ram, Swami Saranamayyappa. Welcome back everybody to just join us. We are still streaming in Malaysia South on Atonville TV. This is the Journey Show, the show about exploring Hinduism. And I'm your host, Kimera Heeralal. By my side, I got Dashnee, Manikam.
Manikam.
She's so shy, we should get out of it. She'll come out of it, don't worry. Couple more shows. Yeah? Alright, interact with us in studio today as we're talking about the origins of the Vedas part 2. And if you want to join us, you can use the bottom column where it says live chat. But if you want to watch this later on while we're not live, you could use our WhatsApp line, which you'll find at the bottom right of your screen. It's 074-660-5829. There's a number right there. Alright, so jumping back to the Vedas now, moving on to Shruti and Smriti. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, forgive me if I'm not. Now, Vedas are Shruti, meaning what is heard. So Shruti is the Sanskrit word and it means what is heard. So Shruti and Smriti are distinguishing them from other religious texts, which are called Smriti, which is what is remembered. So Shruti is what is heard and Smriti is what is remembered. This is indigenous system of the categorization was adopted by Max Muller. And while it is a subject to some debate, it is still widely used. As Axel Michaels actually explains, right? He says these classifications are often not tenable for linguistic or formal reasons. There is not only one collection at any one time, but rather several handed down in separate Vedic schools. So, Upanishads are sometimes not to be distinguished from Aranyakas. Brahmanas contain all the strata of language attributed to the Samhitas. There are various dialects and locally prominent traditions of the Vedic schools. Now, if you look at that, he's actually telling you for each Veda there's a different school.
Yes.
Which is very, very, you know what, this is beautiful. I won't say it's now intimidating me anymore. This is becoming exciting. We're learning how the culture works. And we're going to do this step by step together. We've got Andy Poolen behind the camera, we've got Dashnee Manikam right here, I've got myself, I've got you guys. So interact with us. If you also want to be a part of the show and you want to help us during the day, the course of the week, or if you only have weekends, send us your voice notes or even capture a video of yourself.
A short clip of explaining your view or something that you want to explain to us.
Maybe you feel we didn't deliver or educate properly.
Maybe you can put it in much simpler terms.
Yes, so people that are outside of Hinduism can understand, or people like me who are still learning can understand. So what's your take on what we're talking about right here? The Shruti and the Smriti.
Okay, so as you said, there are different schools for different things. I think that makes sense. Go back to when I explained. So each Veda means something different. Let's go to the one about music. So I would say that makes sense now, because the music scriptures, you would have to go to a different school to learn the music part of it. You know, the Brahman type, you need to go learn the scriptures. You know, in that way.
Okay, so looking at the authorship of the Vedas, right? Hindus consider the Vedas to be an apurya, all right, which means not of a man, like a superhuman.
Yeah.
So now it's basically impersonal and authorless if you look at it.
Yes.
Now if you look at all the prayers and all the scriptures, there's never an actual author there. There's an author of the book that you bought with all the different prayers or scriptures of Vedas, but there's no author written there. Have you noticed that?
Well, to the say now, just like the how the Bible have the New Testament, right? Like say the Bhagavad Gita, there's always a new version coming out.
Like how you have the Bible with testaments.
That's what I was saying. So there's always a new one coming out. So I feel like that's what I've noticed recently. So to that, there's authors, right? But I think to the very beginning of now the Vedas, the very original, there's a certain reason why they say that there's no author or there's no person to this. They say that your faith is just like that too. Yeah. So it's a belief. They say it's our faith, it's our belief, it's come from our God.
Right, now talking about this importance, let's ask Kelly to help us out here. She's gonna explain to us why the Vedas are actually important. Take a look.
The Vedas eventually formed the foundational understanding of Hinduism, and it came to be understood that there was a single entity, Brahman, who not only created existence, but was existence itself. Because the entity was too great to be comprehended by human beings, he then appeared as avatars such as Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the preserver, and Shiva, the destroyer, who regulate the operation of the world, as well as a bunch of other deities, which were all actually Brahman. Although people today think of Hinduism as polytheistic, worshipping many gods, it is actually henotheistic, meaning one god who appears in many forms. The Vedas are believed to reveal this truth to humanity and continue to be highly venerated by Hindus around the world in the present day as a revelation of eternal order and ultimate truth.
Okay, so she mentioned Brahma and all the different deities.
Brahma, Vishnu.
Yes. Now the oldest part of the Rig Veda Samhita was orally composed in northwestern India, in Punjab. So this was between 1500 and 1200 BC. So
That really dates so way back, yeah.
Way back.
I can only imagine how things were back then.
Yeah. Now, while it's called Book 10 of the Rig Veda, if you want to take a look, I'm going to try and download it as well. Now, this book and the other Samhitas were composed between 1200 and 900 BC, more eastward, if you want to ask, between the Yamuna, and the Ganges, right? And the Ganges rivers. Now, the heartland of Aryavarta and the Kuru kingdom. You can check this out on Google, but I would actually go to either Wikipedia or WikiHow. Don't just go Google and you put the words, then you get the wrong information.
Yeah. So if you do go on Wikipedia, all the words that has much more meaning to it, you can click onto it, and it takes you to the actual meaning of everything. So while reading, you get a broader understanding. So you don't just come across these words and read through it. It does give you a broader understanding.
Now, looking at the Samhitas, they also date back to 1000 to between 1000 and 500 BC. So I was maybe walking around it.
No, we weren't.
So anyway, guys, according to tradition, the Vyasa is the compiler of the Vedas. Yeah, I was just saying there was no author. So there is one. So it's spelled Vyasa, Vyasa. I'm saying right?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hope so. So this is the compiler of the Vedas who actually arranged the 4 kinds of mantras into our 4 Samhitas. Samhitas actually means collections. I'm learning today. All right, interact with us in studio today. We are talking about the origins of the Vedas. This is the part 2 episode. So if you missed yesterday's show, please subscribe to our channel and go back to episode 46, which was part 1, and today's episode 47. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoying the show and educating yourselves while we're educating ourselves too.
I am so happy that I'm learning this.
Yes.
So if anybody ever asks me something,
Yes.
I can actually explain to them. If they ever ask me something more in depth, I can actually say and give them a deeper meaning of it, you know? Because sometimes I don't think I knew things so deeply.
True. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so as we're keeping you well entertained this evening, coming up next, we got Riyanka Muntri with Maya Vadas. Say it for me.
Maya Vadas 3 Kana.
There we go, by Riyanka Muntri. Check her out. performing first Maya Vatarastri
Kana.
Kana. There you go. What a beautiful song. That was actually so nice.
It's soothing.
It is.
calming.
It was. At least today we have a lot of slow-paced traditional music, so it's nice. It's relaxing for a beautiful Thursday evening. It's kind of cold, but hey, we got a heater in studio. We're fine. All right, so stay where you are, guys. We are talking about the origins of the Vedas Part 2. We'll come back straight after this commercial break. Manikam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swami Namayappa. Welcome back, everybody. If you just joined us, you are a little late as we start at 7 o'clock every day.
Yes, so catch us at 7.
Yeah. All right, so if you want to join us in conversation, I'm your host, Kimera Heeralal. By my side, we got Dashnee Manikam.
Manikam, everyone, again.
Yeah, so you can use the bottom column where it says live chat, or you could use the contact details right there. You are still watching The Journey Show. This is the show about exploring Hinduism as a whole. Now, before we cut to commercial, we're going to talk about the chronology of the Vedas, right? So, if you look at it, right, the Vedas are among the oldest sacred texts. I mean, you can't understand it.
Yes.
I can't understand it, but our gurus can understand it.
Yes.
Right? They went especially to a study for this.
Yes.
So now the bulk of the Rig Veda now, the Rig Veda Samhita, was composed in the northern western region in Punjab.
Interesting.
Interesting, right? Now, it was actually in the northwestern region of Punjab of the Indian subcontinent, most likely between 1500 and 1200 BC. Now, this is too long ago, but anyway, we are learning. Although a wider approximation of 1700 BC has also been given. So when they were doing research and actually backtracking, it's actually quite nice to find.
It is.
Yeah. So the other three Samhitas are considered to date from the time of the Kuru kingdom, approximately 1200 BC, and the circumvedic texts as well as the redaction of the Samhitas date to 100-500 BC. Now, resulting in the Vedic period now spanning the mid second to mid first millennium BC, or the late Bronze Age or the Iron Age. The Vedic period reaches its peak only after the composition of the mantra texts. Now, this is with the establishment of the various shakas as well as all over North India, which annotated the mantra samhitas with Brahmana's discussions of their meaning. So now we're getting why everything is there. And you just put it in a nutshell and explain to everybody what each Veda consists of.
Yes.
So that's nice. We actually understand it and it's quite cool. So, looking at the different Vedas and looking at the different, the origins of it, it's interesting. It's also scary, the fact that we cannot understand it, but we...
It is.
How are we going to do this now?
Because I think that's why people take the initiative to
Yes.
learn, because they also want to know. They don't know. People are, just giving an example.
Okay.
Right? So you're at a specific temple and they chanting and they saying things and you don't know what they're saying. Just like you don't know.
It sounds like spells.
Yeah. So sometimes it's also good that priests and stuff, they explain to the devotees, what does certain things mean. I think
I like that. I noticed everybody's doing it now.
Yeah.
I went like temple hopping, guys. And every temple I went into, every time they said something or done something, then they'll try and explain it to you in English, which I found amazing.
And I feel it's good because you're respecting that your devotees, the language better that they have.
Yes.
And that they also want to answer because they're now praising faithfully. So they want to know, okay, what they want to know what the certain prayer that they just done, that they did, why are they doing it? And the
Yes.
explanation, because now they're saying it in obviously Sanskrit and we don't understand.
Yeah. Okay, so the Vedic period actually reaches its peak only after the composition of the mantra text, which you've mentioned before, right?
Yeah.
Now, let's look at the transmission, right? Now, the Vedas were orally transmitted, guys. back then, I don't think they had paper and pens. Now, if you look at the transmission, it was orally transmitted since their composition in the Vedic period for several millennia. Now, the authoritative transmission of the Vedas is by an oral tradition in a sampradaya. And this is from father to son, or from teacher, meaning guru, to student, shishya. Now, this is believed to be initiated by the Vedic rishis who heard the primordial sounds. So, we need to actually get somebody to come and sit here one day, or a guru, and actually explain the difference between the sages and the rishis and the gurus, and actually give us a nice hierarchy of how the build-up works.
I think a simple brief term would be the yogis and the sages would be where it weighs back, and then it starts, and then it goes to Brahman, because I think if it makes sense, the yogis were the ones that, that is where it started.
Yeah.
They were the ones that, they were the third one, the Smriti, which is one of the Vedas, right? Is authored by sages and saints who mastered Shruti and brought in their experiences and revelations.
Okay.
So I guess it starts with them.
Okay.
And then I think it works its way up to the Brahmins and the priests, which we are in today.
Right. That's brilliant.
Because I don't think we can go back to sages right now. Like to the sages that the Vyas
I don't
are.
really know. What is Sadhguru? Is he not like a sage? He amazes me, the things that come out of his mouth, right?
He amazes me too. The things that he does, I do believe that he does have certain spiritual gifts.
Yeah.
He definitely does. But I also don't know. I think I would say maybe
I think that he's a sage, but we will actually check on his website. We have to look at it. We have to look into it.
I watch a lot about him. I listen to a lot of what he says. A lot of lessons and whatever. But I've never once put a name to what he is.
Yeah.
I just took it as he's such a great inspiration to me, and I think to many other people.
Yes.
And what things that he's done.
True.
Yeah.
Okay, so looking at the explanation of what I was saying about the teacher and meaning guru, guru meaning teacher, and student meaning shishya. Now only this tradition rather, actually embodied in a living teacher can teach the correct pronunciation. Hence, we are looking for our guru to come onto Actonville TV. We call it Actonville TV's guru, right? And it will be so cool. So only gurus can actually pronounce these certain Sanskrit words correctly.
Yes.
And like fluent and actually speak the language.
So this all makes sense that why that these Vedas were passed on orally, because you can only hear what the correct way of learning it. You can write it down, like me. You can write it down. I'm not gonna understand.
Except what we're doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it when you read this and you take this journey, everything adds up.
Yes.
It makes sense to, and then you'll be like, oh, okay, I read this, and then now it's adding up. So like as the explanation goes, not everyone can pronunciate it.
Yes.
You need to learn from a guru or a Brahmin or whatever. So it does make sense.
And I would like the guru to actually sit with us and he can explain the hidden meanings. In a way that they get like dead and entombed things that are happening. And now we can't see spirits, and we normal people can't see all these things.
Again, even like say if any person would say, okay, I want to go and study.
Yes.
So a lot of, I feel like there are Brahmins, I would say, that are gifted. That it came, as a I think everyone has a calling to it.
Yes.
But I think some people, they study it and then they know it by studying it.
Yes.
And then so
there's a gentleman named Vishen that he amazes me. He's one guru that doesn't have a book near him or a piece of paper, but he's praying from the morning till the night from his head. I don't know.
That's knowledge.
And he's young.
That's knowledge on another level.
I was like, and he's younger than me. I was like, what?
I praise people like that. I admire people like that because they took so much of initiative to
buy heart
like that.
and say it from their hearts, not just reading.
Yeah, because when you're reading something, now you're reading it. But when you know something, you can just talk fluently, especially
and give it your all.
Your heart. And when it's just in your head,
Yeah.
You're reading it really from your heart. You
Yeah.
know, when you're just reading something, there's so much of pressure there. You know, you can hit a verse is the wrong thing. So I admire people that take the initiative
Yes.
to now by heart.
Yes.
And that's
No, of
again
course.
by faith, by them wanting to, because I feel you have an option not to.
You do.
You know, our decisions play a big role in our life.
All right, so looking at something that I'd researched, Leela Prasad actually states, according to Shankara, the correct tradition, meaning the Sampradaya, has as much authority as the written Shastra, explaining that the tradition actually bears authority to clarify and provide direction in the application of knowledge. Okay, now we're going too far. Now I'm gonna get us confused.
You see, in every middle, we're getting confused, and then as we go deeper, you're like, okay, now I'm fine.
Yeah.
Then when you go deeper, you're confused again, and then it adds up again. You
Like
know?
what happened to me just now. I was first intimidated,
And then
I was
you're
like,
like,
oh,
you know, you reach this climax, and then
Yeah.
as you're coming down, you're like, okay, yeah, it makes sense.
It's-
And then you reach and you climb up again.
Yes.
You're like, okay, and then when you get down there, and then you're like, okay, it makes
It's
sense.
like we're climbing the spiritual ladder, guys. It's
It
very cool,
is,
right?
it is.
Okay, so let's look at the emphasis in the transmission, right? Now it's on the proper articulation and the pronunciation of the Vedic sounds.
Yes.
So why don't we do a show of just Vedic sounds? We can try it. Maybe like either tomorrow or Monday. We'll ask the director what's up, and we'll talk about the Vedic sounds and how it's prescribed in the shiksha rather.
Which is the
Shikha.
Veda study.
Is the shiksha. Shiksha. That's what I'm saying right. Okay, so the Vendaga, meaning the Vedic study of sound, is actually uttered in Vedic recitation. So we need to recite these things over and over in order to get these things right.
Yes.
Yeah, so lots of practice, I can imagine.
It is a lot of practice. That's why I say I believe
Yeah.
that any journey. Okay, I am a Tamil reside. I'm a Hindu, so I always say any journey in this is
Yes.
never easy, and that's our test.
Yes, true.
So even when you want to learn the scriptures and the Vedas,
Yeah.
you know, you as I said, you have to keep reciting it, you have to keep learning it,
Yeah.
because you're not going to read it the first time and pronounce that word perfectly.
Like me.
You know, like me as well.
Yes.
So I feel like you're gonna have to. It takes time. It's a journey. We all on a journey.
Yeah. All right. So we were talking about the Vedic studies, right?
Yes.
We were talking about the different sounds.
Yes.
Now, if you look, there are different notes, right? If you have to somehow know music.
Now that is when what doesn't it add up now?
That adds up. So, if you look at it, there's literally forward and backward in fully acoustic fashions. Now, Hoover and Rath notes. Do you even know what that is?
No, I don't.
Yeah. The other thing is, guys, I do. Yeah. Do you know why? I studied sound engineering. I did grade 1
Guys, she's
music.
smart. She's super smart.
So this is going to be fun. I'm going to sit with the direction. We're going to put together this whole thing of notes.
Can
and
you
how it
explain
works.
this to me?
We're going to do it on another show. I'm going to give it to you.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
We're going to
okay.
go into depth with how the music notes
So I think
actually
this is
work.
where the Samaveda comes in, because Sama
Yes.
means now song. So now all the Vedas, why they have to be divided is because now if you're learning the scripture,
Yes.
you also need to learn the Samaveda, because there the rhythm comes in. Like you say this. Can you please say the words again?
Oh, the words. I'm so sorry. The Shiksha, the Vendaga. These are all Vedic studies.
The Hoban and Rath notes.
Yes. Oh, sorry. The Hoban and Rath.
So I feel like that, you know, you need to, each Veda is so important because it impacts the other one.
Yes, it does.
So like after learning, okay, with your scriptures in hand comes the Samaveda, the music. As you said, there's a rhythm.
Yes.
There's a note for everything.
Yes.
It makes sense.
And it makes spiritual sense. We're actually getting this, and we're so proud of ourselves.
I am proud of ourselves.
All right. So as we're talking about the origins of the Vedas part 2, we don't want to bore you and keep you there the whole night. We want to actually keep you entertained as well.
Of course, with some high notes.
All right, we got Ram Sita Ram from the movie Maruti Mere Dost coming up next.
जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम 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 जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम 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 जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम राम Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Ram Ram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Ram Ram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Ram Ram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Ram Ram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Ram Ram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram.
You gotta watch the movie, guys.
That's so beautiful.
It's called Maruti Mera. Please check out that movie if you can Google it. Find out where that movie can be found, and you'll see the story behind this cute girl that I always talk about.
Watch this.
It was so cool. It was awesome. When I hit my spiritual path, guys, I was only watching spiritual movies. I didn't want to watch Hollywood stuff. I was not even Bollywood, like things that were only about our culture.
Yeah.
And it kept me going, and it kept me going forward. And
So ever since I was a little girl,
Yeah.
I loved cultural movies, I would say.
okay.
So my parents, so we obviously, now nobody has DVD players and CDs
I
and
still
whatever.
have one. What are you talking about?
Really? So I don't think a lot of people now, it's on Netflix or on YouTube.
Yeah.
So when I was little, we used to only my parents used to buy the religious movies, and
Right.
you can watch it over and over
DVDs.
and over.
Mhm.
I love it.
Do you still go to Fordsburg and see that guy standing there with DVDs?
No, now I go to YouTube. I'm joining everybody else.
She's sticking with the times, ladies and gentlemen. All right, as we always do and come towards the end of our show, we're talking about the 108 principles of the value system from the Tirukkural. Today we are teaching the lesson at number 25. Today's lesson is refrain from meanness and baseness. Be a humanist and rationalist. Did you actually understand that?
I did, but you can explain further.
You didn't understand that. Okay, so let's, as we
I
talk about
understand the first phrase,
it. Okay, what did you get?
the humanist and rationalist.
Okay, what did
Give
you
me
get?
your
No, what did you
understanding.
get from that?
Just be yourself. Be humble.
Basically, it's telling you to humble yourself.
Be humble. Just stay on your base.
Yes.
Just be humble.
It's also, when you look at the British, when they say meanness, they say meanness actually means lack of generosity and mercy.
I understood that part, and I feel like that is so important
Yes.
in this day and age. People are so mean. They don't know how to show gratitude, and it's a bit sad, especially with the generation of today.
Yes.
The young people.
Yes.
There's no respect towards each other. So this principle is so good to put
Yes.
out there.
So guys, basically what they're trying to tell you is be generous. You must show mercy.
Yes.
And you must be kind to everybody.
Don't be unkind, guys. Be
Yes.
fair.
Don't be spiteful.
Because another thing I also believe, the way you be to somebody else, you don't know what they're going through.
Sure.
And the small thing you say to them, it can add on to them.
That's true.
You don't know in their life what they dealing with.
True.
So be kind to everybody. Help where you can.
Yes, and please be fair in everything that you do.
Please.
I notice with human nature, we tend to be unfair and we tend to have
we
favorites.
get carried away.
Yes, being free willed and all. All right, as we want to advertise for Guruji today, let's check him out. Put it on the screen, director. All right, so Guru Indresan, we'd like to advertise for him, as if you want to contact him for any of these specific acts, we can do the Jandagam. That's astrological readings, or the Panchagam they call it. He also does the Navagraha Shanti, as well as your house prayers, your business prayers, your car prayers, your temple and hall weddings. He also does the ceremonies for 16 days in 1 year, yeah? And he also does the Janda prayer, auspicious Hawans, and Kumbha Abhishekams. If you want to contact Guru Indresan, you can contact him on 081-325-0115. Again, the number is 081-325-0115. So that's for Guru Indresan, everybody, if you want to contact him. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's him. All right, guys. Well, it's come towards the end of the show. And would you like to say anything to the viewers before we go?
Please interact with us.
We're waiting for interaction.
I love other people's views.
I know, me too.
Yeah.
And guys, I know why. I get it. I know why you're not interacting with us. You can even say Manikam. You can even say Namaste or
Sai Ram.
wish a friend happy birthday. This may be a talk show about Hindu culture or religion rather, but it is an open space. This is a safe space.
It's a safe space.
Yeah.
Remember, any godly space is a safe space.
But I do get it why you don't want to interact. Religion is a very touchy subject.
It is.
The thing is, I need you guys to know we are open-minded.
We are, and we're learning. So it's not that we have hardcore knowledge of this. We can't say like that we stand by this.
No. Not yet.
We're learning, but we're learning from it as well. And like I said, other people might also have so much of knowledge about
Yes.
this. And I've always seen other people these days, they share their knowledge with other people. So I feel like everyone is on a journey of sharing their experiences and their knowledge. So why not you share with us?
Yeah.
Because
You
we're
do
putting
that.
ourselves out there doesn't mean you don't have to respond. You have to, guys.
Alright guys, from myself, Kimera, Heeralal and Dashnee Manikam right here. Manikam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swami Esaranam Ayyappa. Good night everyone.
Bye, everyone.